Hi, I'm Ami Devereaux. In my last video, I talked a little bit about burnout and about how to avoid burnout and what to do if you notice that you or your employees are burnt out. Well, first of all, I'm not going to talk about burnout in this, but one of the ways that employees can avoid burnout and that people can avoid burnout is by having a lot of control over their own work, what time they work, how they work, where they work, perhaps most importantly, how they accomplish the tasks of their jobs. Why does this matter? Well, there's a lot of research showing that when employees have a great deal of autonomy, they're both more engaged and produce better results. They also tend to be happier. Now, that can be really scary as a leader because it sounds like in order to give employees that kind of autonomy, you have to really relinquish control. And you know what? You do. And that can be terrifying because what if you entrust your employees to do some really important project or to hit a deadline or to hit a milestone, and although you've invested all this trust in them, they fail to do it? Then you're sort of, well, screwed, right? So how can you both hedge against the uncertainty of trusting your employees with the autonomy they need to be fully engaged and creative, but also avoid the insecurity, fear, and anxiety of running up against a situation where employees just completely drop the ball? Well, for one thing, obviously you need some accountability structures in place. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but I think that goes without saying. But there are two really key components to ensuring that you can both give employees autonomy and trust that they know what to do in all of the situations that you can't anticipate. And this really matters because if you think about it, even if you were to attempt to have a rule that governs every possible situation, you could never succeed at that. It's simply impossible because you can't anticipate every single thing that happens. Let me give you an example. Somebody called Masked Koala, Masked Koala, that's a username on Reddit, posted this story about his experience with Capital One. He had a keyboard, and on his keyboard, the to key was stuck, and he couldn't actually type in his password when he went to log on to his Capital One account. So he wrote to Capital One on Twitter and said, look, I can't log on to my account because you need me to actually type in the digits of my PIN or my password or whatever it was. And my to key is stuck, which means I can't type it in and copying and pasting won't work. So there's a lot of things Capital One could have done about this. And honestly, when I first read this story, my expectation would have been that they would have done, well, nothing about it, or told him at the very most to, go get your keyboard fixed. It's really not our problem. But what they did instead is they sent him a new keyboard. Now, first of all, I'm not suggesting that every customer service employee ought to be sending gifts to their customers, but certainly Capital One could never have anticipated that unique problem. So they couldn't have had a playbook for what to do in that situation. What they had instead was a set of guiding principles that suggested that it's important to serve the customers, that it's important for customers to be able to access their accounts, because only if they access their accounts can they pay their bills or raise their credit limits or get new services from the bank, and on and on and on and on, right? So if you give a customer a keyboard, it may pay back in multiples because that customer is happier, goes and posts this great experience onto Reddit, which stokes your reputation, and they also invest in more products with your company. So there's all kinds of additional second order benefits to this kind of autonomy. But of course, Capital One couldn't possibly know that that employee would make that choice at that moment. So how do you do that? How do you create the conditions in which your employees both have autonomy and the sort of vision to make the right choice in these weird moments? Well, you start by having a very clear strategy that everybody understands so that whatever function any individual employee is in, they fully understand the backstory, the rationale behind why the particular goal they have is part of the company's goals. Why is that a key objective? Because understanding the why gives them more context with which to make choices. And then you wed that to a very clear set of principles. Those principles may be in the form of behavioral qualifications or qualities, or they may be in the form of core values. But whatever they are, they need to actually tie into behaviors that occur in the course of business. When you have those two conditions in place, what you've done is you've created an environment in which employees are perfectly positioned to make the right choice when they come upon a situation that they don't have any guidance about. And every one of us has been a customer in that situation where we hit a wall with somebody at a company. We have some weird issue and the company has no process for dealing with it. And if you're dealing with an employee who's been given the autonomy and the wisdom and the principles and who understands the strategy of the organization, they may be able to innovate a solution for you. But if you're dealing with somebody who has been micromanaged and has been told never color outside the lines, only do what the procedure manual says, you as a customer will hit a wall. And you know what happens next? You find a different company to provide what you need. I'll be writing more about autonomy and leadership next week and how to create the conditions for your employees to have maximal freedom, but for you to have maximal security in expecting what you expect and knowing that your team will produce the result. I'm Ami Devereaux. Thanks for spending this time with me. Please read the notes below and get the information to join my online community, beyondbetter.online, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos like this. Bye.